Wave, welcome to Share Your Revolution podcast, a platform dedicated to allowing people from all over the world to share your revolution with us. My name is Light, and I'm going to be your host. Today, Monday, Cinco de Mayo, 2025, we are celebrating the Battle of Puebla. And to be clear, for those who don't know, Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day. That's in September. So in 1821, Mexico gained its independence. Now, the Spanish, British, French empires weren't really too happy about that and basically said, you owe us reparations for your independence from us, which I know is crazy. But in 1861, a new president, Benito Juarez, said, we are stopping all foreign debt payment. We just don't have it. We need to rebuild our own economy and take care of our people first. And after long negotiations with the British and Spanish empires, they finally withdrew and said, fine, you could pay us later. But the French Empire, under Napoleon III, nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, the infamous, said, nah, we need that now, and decided to come collect. And that is how the Battle of Puebla was set off. Part of it was that France wanted to start a coup, a regime, in Mexico because they knew that America was starting its empire right up north. You see, Mexico was getting it from all ends. From the north from America, don't forget where California and New Mexico got its name, okay? From the south, from the east, and from the inside out because all of its resources were being stolen. Battle of Puebla, Cinco de Mayo, 1862. 2,000 underarmed, ill-equipped, not only soldiers, but farmers, citizens, regular people against 6,000 French assassins trained to kill the best of the best, at the time considered some of the best in the world. Under the lead of General Ignacio Zaragoza at Fort Loreto and Fort Guadalupe on Cinco de Mayo, 1862, they were able to hold off 6,000 trained assassins, mercenaries, trained by some of the best in the world, supposedly some of the best assassins of the world themselves, against 2,000 soldiers, farmers, citizens, regular people who took arms against injustice, who took arms against the intolerance of the French Empire. And although this battle would make General Ignacio Zaragoza a national hero and remembered for years to come, it unfortunately did not stop the French Empire from pillaging, plundering, and taking everything they could until 1867 when they were finally overthrown and thrown out of Mexico. In 1862, when the Battle of Puebla happened, the United States would have came down to help because it didn't want the French there any more than anyone else, but it had its hands tied because it was in the middle of a civil war. So why is America celebrating Cinco de Mayo more than Mexico? And although Mexico does celebrate it in the city of Puebla, and yes, people around Mexico do celebrate it, it is celebrated way more in them. People like Cesar Chavez, who were influenced by Gandhi and Martin Luther King, who led his own protest for all the farm workers in California, he became a symbol of Mexican-American hope, of Mexican-American dignity, a Mexican-American hero. And him and Cinco de Mayo are not directly linked, but his fight for justice for Mexican Americans and the Battle of Puebla, their fight for justice for Mexicans. There is an interlink in there for the fight for justice. And through the civil rights movement, Cinco de Mayo got a much more popular light on it. They were able to shine a light onto this event because it showed how even with just a little bit, even with 1/3 of the army, even with the army being less trained, less wealthy, less informed, less armored, less weapons, less everything, you can still prevail. You can still come out victorious. And that's what Cesar Chavez stood for. That's what the civil rights movement stood for. That's what the Battle of Puebla stood for. And that's what we need to stand for now. And people like Cesar Chavez go to show you how you can just empower the people around you. How you can take just a little bit of something you have and you can turn it into a movement and you can create real change. That's what they showed at the Battle of Puebla. That's why Cinco de Mayo has such deep roots. That's why it's so important to celebrate. And although I do think it's great to know the history, I do think it's even more important when it becomes more relevant as the future and present unfold, that the past is still relevant. Things like the Battle of Puebla was very relevant to the civil rights movement and Cesar Chavez. They were able to point to that movement and say, hey, listen, I know it's us farmers against the big corporations, but look at the Battle of Puebla. Look at what they did there. Those are our ancestors. And we can fight too. And that fires people up. And that passion is what gets people moving. And that's what the civil rights movement was about. Getting people up and moving, walking together, marching together, sittings, protesting, boycotting, whatever you got to do to get their attention. Because I'll tell you what, people like Cesar Chavez and all of the Mexican Americans who were in that protest, those grape workers, those farm workers who band together and said, hey, enough is enough. We need the right wages. We need civil rights. We need equal rights. We can do the same thing now. We are in a pivotal point in America right now where we need to stand up for our civil rights, where we need to stand up the way Cesar Chavez did, the way they did at the Battle of Puebla. So Cinco de Mayo is a great time to celebrate the fight against colonialism, imperialism, injustice, and revolution for a better world for all. Now, why is this so personal to me? Well, I gotta tell you, I worked in the food and beverage industry for 15 plus years, and I worked with the whole array of people from all over the world, but specifically pretty much every country in the Americas, from South America, Central America, and North America. And my Mexican brother and sisters were some of the most generous, fun, absolute laugh riots that you'll ever meet. And on a day like Cinco de Mayo, they're some of the most generous people. Food, drink, smoke, whatever you need, they got it for you. It's going to be a good time if you're there to celebrate. Now, outside of Cinco de Mayo, they're also very generous, but they are pulled in a lot of directions. They send money back home. They have family and friends here. But they are a generous people is what I'm trying to say. Specifically on Cinco de Mayo, though, they know how to celebrate. People like Cesar Chavez, MLK, Gandhi knew that there are small changes you can make and large changes you can make. The large changes are more an ethical foundation to your thought, something like ending the era of nuclear weapons. That's not something we could do tomorrow, but that is something that should be sprinkled into the conversation every now and then to keep it fresh so that they know that is something we want. But there's also small things we can do, like foster a culture of dialogue. That's what I'm doing right here, right now with this podcast. I want to foster a culture of dialogue for revolutionaries around the world, and specifically in America, to come together to fight the injustices they see. There are too many of these Karens running around spewing racial slurs and getting rewarded for it. That shit don't fly no more like a penguin, you dig? So what we may lack in the resources, the funds, the education, the weaponry, we can make up for as a unit, as a community, the strength of coming together under one message, that we all deserve dignity, we all deserve justice, we all deserve fairness, we all deserve equality. Everyone, every age, every gender, every skin color deserves it. There's no one under the sun who doesn't deserve that. Unfortunately, they're not just going to give it to us. We have to stand up and we have to show them what we stand for in order for them to give us what we want. That's what Cesar Chavez did. That's what they did at the Battle of Puebla. And I'm confident that now more than ever, we have a real opportunity to create change. I am so mind-blowingly impressed with the generations below me. They are so smart, creative, intuitive, and they are not down with the shits, this corporate bullshit. They're not down with it. They're down to create their own thing, which is a better world. And I have to salute them for that. Everything that they stand for is for a better world. And we have to start giving them credit for it. People like Dean Withers come with the facts. And it goes to show you that the accuracy of history is more important than being right or wrong or left or right. And it goes to show you that the quantity of your years is less important than the quality you put into those years. And if you're not sure how to take this small step, just create a dialogue with someone you normally wouldn't. Create a dialogue within your community and just say, hey, how can I help? What can I do to help? Find someone that you admire, that you look up to, DM them, message them, say, hey, I really love what you do. How can I help? What can I do? If you're limited in funds, that's okay. Just say that, be honest. Say I'm limited in funds, I can't donate money, but what else can I do for the cause? So I really want to give the most amount of props to the Mexican culture, the Mexican heritage, who celebrate a day like Cinco de Mayo. And I think it is so important that we celebrate the cultures that we are neighbors to. Not only around the world, but specifically the ones we are closest to, our neighbors. It is so often in this world that neighboring countries have beef with each other. And don't think that's not by design, because it absolutely is, and it's wrong. Our neighbors should be our best friends. We should love thy neighbor. Not try to hate thy neighbor, not try to deport thy neighbor, not try to tax thy neighbor, but work with thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor, and prove that we are good neighbors too. Mexico has been fighting injustice for centuries. For centuries, cultures have been coming in and taking from Mexico. And I think it is more important this year than ever to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and the real true meanings of Cinco de Mayo and how it became a holiday in present day culture. Because I can guarantee you in 1911, they weren't celebrating Cinco de Mayo in America the way they're celebrating it now. So this year, let's celebrate the beautiful country that Mexico is. And let's have a beautiful day for Cinco de Mayo. Celebrate your Mexican brothers and sisters, celebrate Mexican heritage, and understand that the fight against colonialism, imperialism, and injustice is never over until it's over everywhere. These next few months are going to dictate whether we go deeper down the rabbit hole of fascism or we climb out together as a society that we want to see. A society free for all, every age, every gender, every skin color, together. We all get justice. We all get dignity. We all get the rights that we deserve. Civil, equal, fair. Without revolution, the world wouldn't revolve. Please like, subscribe, and share your revolution below. Light out.